What's going on, everyone? So, yesterday was Christmas. I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday. And we had a jam packed Christmas Day lineup of NBA basketball. So, I wanted to run through some of these teams. So, let's get right into it because we got a lot to talk about. So, starting off with the first game, the Milwaukee Bucks and the New York Knicks. So, the New York Knicks ended up winning 129 to 122, putting the Bucks at 22-8. Record wise, Milwaukee has been solid this year, right? They have like the second or third best record in the league. You had Lillard and Giannis both with 32 points, but they continue to just not be a team that I trust, right? Milwaukee, personally, I just think is a huge question mark, right? Lillard has not been as good as he has been in previous years, right? I don't know if it's just the adjustment period, right? And he's just having struggle kind of playing second fiddle. You've played 30 games, so you have more than enough of a sample size. But like Lillard has really had his struggles all season long, especially shooting the basketball. Three-point shot has just not been there as regularly and consistently as he has. I mean, he still generated, like I said, 38 points. He was 10 of 21 from the field, which is pretty solid, but 4 of 13 from three. Giannis, right? Giannis has been spectacular this year. I mean, he's having one of the best seasons of his career this year. He's been remarkable, but the defense isn't there for Milwaukee, right? They can't generate stops. Like that was one of the things that Milwaukee was always able to hold their hat on, right? We're one of the better teams defensively. We can lock down, we can focus and just win games that way, right? And Milwaukee just doesn't have that to lean on. So if Lillard has a bad game or Giannis has a bad game, they just really struggle. And, the lack of depth, I don't know. It's just, to me, I'm just not personally sold on Milwaukee, right? Granted, you get to the playoffs, Damian Lillard is a proven just killer, right? And then Giannis, you kind of lean towards like, hey, you got those two guys, you're going to be very good. And I still think it's either Boston or Milwaukee that make it out of the East. I still think that they are two of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, but I don't, like, I have more concern about Milwaukee now than I think I ever have in the last few years, right? Even Milwaukee, like losing last year in the first round to the Heat, if Giannis doesn't get hurt, I don't think that they lose to the Heat, for one, and they very likely might have been in the NBA Finals. And if they're in the NBA Finals, who knows, right? Like, Milwaukee felt like a team that every year was like, all right, that they are very likely going to the NBA Finals, right? And this year, I kind of feel like they could, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they just got upset. Like, where you're not expecting it, but like, and maybe expecting is the wrong word, but like last year I was surprised, but it was like, okay, Giannis got hurt, so I get it. Like this year, if everyone was healthy and they lost in like the first round, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know, call me crazy. The Knicks, I'm not sold on I don't think the Knicks are a contender. I think the Knicks are a couple pieces away, personally. Jalen Brunson was spectacular. But I'm not sold on the Knicks being a real contender. They're fun to watch when they're cooking and they got things going, right? But I just think they're middle of the pack team. Right? I think they're a team they'll be in the playoffs. Maybe they could surprise somebody in the right matchup. But I'm not super sold on the Knicks, if I'm being honest. But moving on. Next up, you had the Nuggets and the Warriors. This was a fun game. This was a very exciting game. The Nuggets are the Nuggets, right? They haven't been as good as they were last year, but I'm not really, like, the Nuggets I have zero concerns about at all, right? As long as everyone's healthy, good luck beating them, right? I don't think that they're unbeatable, but they're proven, right? And, you have the championship hangover. You see it every year with teams, like they win the chip and then it's just like, they're just kind of in this like fog in this daze, right? And then, teams are going after you harder than they've ever gone after you before, stuff. So I don't know, not really much to say in the Denver department. I don't really have any concerns about Denver. To me, they're a playoff team. They're going to win some games in the regular season, but I don't think they care as much about the regular season as maybe some of these other teams do. Not that it's not important, but I think as long as they make the playoffs, again, good luck beating them in a 7-game series. But the Warriors, right, they held in there, especially for a game where Steph struggled mightily. That was impressive to me that they were able to kind of just keep pace for a good portion of that game. But they're just so Steph reliant, right? Like I have zero faith and belief in the Warriors. I do. Unless they pull off some like ridiculous, crazy trade, I just don't buy the Warriors being anything. I just don't, right? I think the Warriors, if they get into the playoffs, maybe the right matchup, right, they could win a series. But I think if they play, like the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, the Lakers, just because of the Lakers' size, right? Like those 3 teams for sure, I just don't see the Warriors beating, right? But I also think the Clippers could be a problem for them. The Pelicans could be a problem for them. The Thunder could be a problem for them. I think Warriors, if you get the right matchup, maybe you make it to the second round. I just don't see them anything more than like a first or second round exit. And I just think like the Warriors, Steph has to basically be Superman game in and game out for them to really win games. And he's ridiculous and amazing. And when you're playing against him, it's the most frustrating thing in the world. But how long can he carry this? How long can he keep this up? I don't have a ton of faith in the Warriors. Call me crazy, but I just don't. You never really want to count them out just because they're a proven commodity, but all good things come to an end, and I think we're starting to see the end in that regard. But next up, the Lakers. If you're not familiar, I am a Laker fan. I have a Laker channel, As It Stands Lakers, and I am very disappointed in the Lakers this year. This is a team that I truly believed was going to be at least a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. I said 3 to 5 because I just didn't think that they would care so heavily about the standings. I thought, they prioritize health and stuff, but the Lakers have a lot of issues. This roster is greatly underachieving. Like, you look at this roster on paper, and they're front to back one of the deepest teams in the league. Just the coach just doesn't have any idea how to utilize certain guys. They are so LeBron James and Anthony Davis offensive reliant. They have nobody that consistently game in and game out. The Lakers need a trade. Like, if the Lakers really want to be a true contender, they need a trade. They're a good team, right? They're not a contender. They're not a great team, right? They are a middle of the pack team. They are a team right now that I think, even if as currently constructed, I do think will finish in the top 6, right? Their January schedule, they've played a ton of road games. They've had a lot of injuries. No one has been really healthy all season for them. They've had guys in and out of the lineup. They're still 6th in defense, right? It's just their offense. They're like 26th in offense. I do think the Lakers do make a trade and can kind of turn that around, but we'll see. Time will tell. Currently constructed, right? I think that they're a top 6 team. I do think that they are better suited for the playoffs than anything. Like, I do. I think, like, you get this team into the playoffs, I think that they'll be extremely tough to beat, right? I think the only teams that can really beat the Lakers in a 7-game series are the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. Like, those are the only teams that I have, like, real concerns about, right? Because I just think the Thunder, they're inexperienced. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I think, would cause them trouble. They're not very good with physicality. I think, once you get into the playoffs, the game becomes more physical. I think the Lakers, with their size and the strength, can cause some problems. The Kings, I know Sabonis has like that great history with Anthony Davis. Playoffs are a completely different thing. I trust the Lakers to beat the Kings, although I do think that they could be a bit of an issue. Warriors, Suns, don't see an issue. Rockets, I don't think that they're a real threat. Pelicans, the Lakers have always had their number. Dallas could be a problem just because of their Luka and their shooting, but I just think the Lakers' size over a 7-game series would be a big issue for the Mavericks. Clippers, we'll see. They just seem kind of hot and cold at times. So I do still absolutely have faith in the Lakers. And it's one of those things. Like, you put LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the playoffs, I'll take my chances. But I wouldn't bet on them. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't bet on them to do anything. I think more likely than not, it's going to depend on matchups. But the Celtics, in my opinion, are clearly the best team so far regular season. Now, the Celtics for me are one of those teams, I have to see it to believe it. Every year, they're arguably the best team, and every year they end up losing in the conference finals. So it's like, I need to see you get over that hump. On top of that, Jason Tatum has not been good at showing up in crunch time of big games in the playoffs, right? I mean, more times than not. I'm not saying he's never done it, but I'm saying more times than not, the dude will have like 30 points through 3 quarters, and then he'll get to the fourth quarter. It's a tie game or something like that. You need Jason Tatum for the fourth, and he just might as well not even be on the court. I still question their mental toughness. I still question Joe Mazzulla. And I question the Celtics' offensive selection at times. They, by far, have the best starting 5 in the league. They have so much offensive versatility and weaponry. It's unfair. But they're just so content with shooting like 43s a game. It's crazy. They have the ability to basically have unlimited types of offensive schemes and looks with just the versatility of their guys. And they're just so focused on shooting 42 threes a game. It doesn't make sense to me. To me, that's their Achilles heel. Their lack of mental toughness and their reliance, they're reliant of the 3-point shot. You live by the 3, you die by the 3. And if they have a series where they go cold, I don't necessarily trust them to go, okay, we need to fix this and correct this and start generating offense other ways. Right? I have those concerns. But again, like the Celtics, they've looked just excellent this season. And they're going to be a tough beat regardless. I mean, their roster is stacked. Their depth is a real concern. Their depth is a real question. But this team is ridiculous. Moving on. Again, go subscribe to if you're a Laker fan and you're watching this, go subscribe to my Laker channel. As it stands, Lakers. But moving on. Sixers and Heat. Sixers are, man. No Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey has a terrible game. Arguably like his worst game of the season. He shoots 4-20 from the field, 1 of 8. And it genuinely felt like Philly could have won that game. I mean, Tobias Harris stepped up huge. Kelly Oubre, right? Mo Bamba was playing like he was Joel Embiid this game. Right? He was really good. This Sixers team, man, they could be sneakily scary. This team plays really well together. This team really seems to like each other. My one concern, and the reason I just don't believe the Sixers win a chip, is because Joel Embiid disappearing in the playoffs. If that happens, I just don't think that they're going to be able to beat some of these teams in a 7-game series if he disappears for a couple games in the series. And I don't know if they're going to, I don't know if they have the front end talent to beat a Celtics or a Bucks team. Right? Even if Joel Embiid does show up and doesn't disappear at all. I just don't know if they have the front end talent. Like Tyrese Maxey, I like him, but he's young. He has some experience, but is he the guy that you really want to try? If the Sixers went and got another star, problem is that who is that, right? Maybe you go get a Donovan Mitchell, but I just feel like Mitchell and Maxey might be a little redundant at times, right? So it's kind of like who would be ideal that would make sense for the Sixers, right? But regardless, I think the Sixers are a piece away. If the Sixers get the right piece that comes in and has the right fit, I could see the Sixers easily coming out of the Eastern Conference. They're fun to watch. They have what, like 4 guys averaging 20 plus this season. Like, I don't know. This team is kind of like that dark horse, but I don't really know if you'd classify them as a dark horse because, they have Joel Embiid and stuff. But to me, I think the Sixers are better this year than they were last year with James Harden. Like, genuinely. I just think the offense is more fluid. I think you have multiple guys that can beat you in multiple ways. Like, I like the depth, the versatility of the Sixers team. Like, I just think they need the right piece. They get the right piece, they're good. Miami, I know they're 18 and 12. They've gone on multiple win streaks. They've had moments where they look really good. And like, I'm not gonna rule out Miami just because every year they seem to be in the conference finals or the NBA finals, right? It's crazy. But I don't see them winning a championship, right? And as great as they've been last year and, in 2020 and then the years that they've gone to the conference finals and stuff like that, I don't buy them. I don't think they're a contender. I don't think they're good enough. They need that guy. Like, they needed Damian Lillard. They didn't get him. They need to go get a Donovan Mitchell or, DeMar DeRozan or something like that. Maybe even a Zach LaVine. I just don't think that they'll go after Zach LaVine. They need a consistent go-to scorer, somebody that can be clutch down the stretch, somebody that can hit big shots, more of a natural scorer because they're so reliant on Jimmy Butler at times, right? But he's not like this natural scorer. He's just willing himself to getting buckets, right? The Jimmy buckets is that. I think that they need that like go-to, just consistent offensive threat. And to me, they're kind of in the sense with the Sixers where it's like they're a piece away, but I think the Heat need a very specific piece. Where the Sixers, I think like you can make an argument for like several different things, right? Like maybe even like a Pascal Siakam could maybe put the Sixers over the top just because of his defense, his playmaking, stuff like that. But time will tell. And then lastly, the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks. Phoenix is not a good basketball team at all. And everyone tried to tell me, I made videos about the Suns after they traded for Bradley Beal and all that stuff. And everything that I said has came to fruition. And I said I didn't believe in this team. I didn't think their depth was good. I thought they did a better job than I thought they would with their depth, but I didn't buy in them. I just don't think they have any playmaking. It's going to be clunky. It's not going to work. I thought they were going to be terrible defensively. I didn't think that they would be, out of the play-in bad and potentially could miss the play-in. And for those that are like, oh, there's no way that they're going to miss the play-in, don't be shocked. This team is not good at all. This team is actually worse than I thought they would be. Like, worse. They're the worst fourth quarter team in the league. This team is not good at all. At all. And Bradley Beal getting healthy is not going to fix that. Bradley Beal is not going to solve that. They tried to push their chips to the table, and they made the wrong move, in my opinion. Phoenix Suns are not a good basketball team by any stretch. When Grayson Allen is your best player, like, that's not a good sign. I mean, he's not really their best player, but Kevin Durant has had to carry so much this year. Devin Booker he's trying to play make, and he doesn't have that balance, and he doesn't have understanding. Like, they don't have a true playmaker that can set things up and get things going. They can't stop anybody defensively. They're undersized. They don't have other guys that can consistently generate anything. You have Eric Gordon out here talking about, I need to get the basketball. I'm a scorer and I'm this. And this dude's missing layups and can't buy a bucket and turning the ball over, just playing terrible. Like, sit down, quit talking. We don't want to hear that again. Right? Like, I think Phoenix are pretenders. On paper, looks great. But the Phoenix Suns are a perfect example. You can't just throw 3 players together and expect to win a championship. As a Laker fan, that's why I said I didn't buy it. Because the pieces don't fit. The roster doesn't make sense. And as a Laker fan, I have seen this. The Lakers every couple years have a super team that is supposed to win a championship. From Karl Malone and Gary Payton with Shaq and Kobe to Nash and Dwight and Powell and Meta and Kobe. And it just, you can't just throw pieces on a roster and expect them to win championships. It doesn't work like that. We've seen a lot of just great teams put together that never won. You know? And we've seen plenty of big threes that have never won. From Portland to Houston to Phoenix, and the Suns are just not a good basketball team. And people aren't afraid of them. People aren't worried about them. They can't stop anybody. They have no real offensive identity or defensive identity or nothing. Frank Vogel, just this roster isn't made for him. So at times he just doesn't seem like he knows what to do. I just don't think Phoenix is. I wouldn't be shocked if Phoenix is out of the playoffs. I don't think so. But the only reason I don't think so is just because of their talent. I just think that they have too much talent to where, and once you get to a certain point in the season, you're going to have teams deciding to go the other direction rather than trying to fight for a play-in spot or a playoff spot. So I just think that they'll sneak into at least the play-in. But I just don't see a scenario where the Suns pull it out. And just because they get into the play-in doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs. Right? Especially if they're like the 9th or 10th seed, I can see a team beating them once. I just don't trust Phoenix. I just don't think Phoenix is a good basketball team. Dallas has been very impressive. Dallas has actually been a lot better. That's the one team that I've been wrong on so far. Everything I said was right about the Phoenix Suns. Like I could not be more right with the Phoenix Suns. And it's hilarious because I had so many people tell me I'm an idiot, I'm this, I'm that, and yada, 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 right? Just watch. I'm watching. And one of us has been right so far. Hey, it's been a long season. Maybe they turn it around. I just don't buy it. Dallas, I was completely wrong on. I thought Dallas was... I didn't like their moves in the offseason. I didn't think they added the proper pieces that they needed. Still had questions about Luka and Kyrie. This team, they've been good. I don't believe that they're a contender. I think right now they're the 5th seed. It's where I think they are, 5th or 6th seed. I still think that they are like a extended Luka period away from just completely hitting rock bottom. I think Dallas is on thin. Like Dallas is one of those teams. Like Luka is why they are so good, right? It's not like it's not because they have this like ridiculous team. They're so reliant on the 3-point shot. It's just Luka is that good that he's able to kind of make and elevate this. I don't buy them as a real contender, right? You don't want to count out Luka. Luka, especially playoff Luka, is ridiculous. But I would be shocked if they won a championship or even made it to the finals. I think that they lose in like the first or second round, depending on the matchup. I know that they beat the Lakers, but I don't think that they beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. I don't think they beat Minnesota. I don't think that they beat the Nuggets. Clippers, I think that they run through just because Luka seems to be, the part owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. Sacramento, I think, would be a tough matchup for them. Same thing with the Thunder. But I think that could go either way. Pelicans, I think they could beat the Pelicans. But I think Dallas, but you never know. I mean, sometimes things just fall your way and you're there. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree with all my points for all these teams and all the videos? Do you not? How do you feel? What your thoughts are? I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate you all. See you in the next one.